Today is Sunday, Parashat Tzav. This is the week of Purim. Purim is on Wednesday evening and Thursday. And we'll say a couple of halachot regarding the day of Purim and the mitzvot associated with Purim. Where first of all, we have to read the Megillah or hear the Megillah being read, both at night and in the day again. So twice. If a person hears it only at night, that's not enough. You have to hear it also during the day. And that's why in our synagogue, typically on Purim, we read the Megillah in the morning twice, once in the first minyan and then a second time later in the later morning. Then we have to give matanot la'evyonim. We have to give gifts to the poor, to at least 2 poor people, a gift to each one of them. And the idea is to give enough that the person can buy a meal, that basically the accepted amount that should be given so that the person can have some money to buy a meal if he was a needy person. Also, we have a mitzvah, mishloach manot ish lere'ehu, to send 2 portions of food to at least one person. Of course, you can send to more people, but the minimum is to one person, 2 portions of food and drink. You can send, let's say, a bottle of wine and some food, and it should be 2 different types of food, not all the same, just split into 2 packages. No, it should be 2 different types minimum, and you can add, of course, more types of food. And have in mind the person who's receiving. The person who's receiving is important, so you have maybe a nicer type of mishloach manot. But again, the basic obligation is to one person, but you can send to more. There is also the mitzvah of having a copious meal, a seudah, on Purim during the day. Night you can have a seudah, the night of Purim, after you read the Megillah, but that doesn't fulfill the obligation of Seudat Purim, because Seudat Purim is during the day on the day of Purim. Now, regarding drinking on Purim, it is absolutely wrong to drink to a point of drunkenness, to a point where a person is not able to do mitzvot, he will not be able to say Birkat Mazon correctly, he may not be able to pray Arvit, and he may even act in a way that is frivolous, and he may speak words that are not proper. If the drinking can bring him to act in certain ways that are not acceptable. However, a person tastes a little bit of wine, or just enough to get him into the mood to have simcha of Purim, that would be definitely allowed and with a measure, but not to get to the point of drunkenness. That is something that is not our custom. And there is another mitzvah of Purim. We do give machatzit, zecher le-machatzit ha-shekel, in remembrance of machatzit ha-shekel. We give, some people give 3 coins of $50. You give a donation for each member of the family. This is to remember the machatzit ha-shekel that was given at the time of Bet HaMikdash. And machatzit ha-shekel, according to our sages, is what countered those 10,000 gold coins that Haman wanted to give to Achashverosh to buy the right to do whatever he wanted with the Jewish people. So machatzit ha-shekel, in remembrance of that, we give the machatzit ha-shekel a donation for charity. In the Mussar of today in Chok Yisrael, just briefly, it opens by saying, Chilul Hashem, the desecration of God's name, Kasher mikol ha'averot, it's the gravest of all sins. Like our sages says, in the subject of atoning for sins, if a person did Chilul Hashem, which is desecrating the name of Hashem, and teshuvah Yom Kippurim v'yisurim mechaprim, teshuvah, Yom Kippur, even yisurim, even afflictions to a person suffering does not atone for that Avera of Chilul Hashem. Ela Yom HaMitah, but rather only to the day of death. Shneimar im yechupar ha'avon hazeh lachem ad temutun. If this Avera, this grave sin of desecrating the name of Hashem, the full atonement is done only on the day of death. Even the suffering and Kippur and Teshuvah will hold it in suspense until the time that the person passes, because it's a grave sin. And Chilul Hashem could be under many different ways. If a person is known as a religious person and he acts in a way that is improper, that's considered to be Chilul Hashem. A person who's wearing a kippah crossing the street, everybody recognizes him as a Jew, and he's jaywalking, it would be something that would be considered Chilul Hashem, because he represents the Jewish people. People recognize him as such, and represents Hashem, and he should act in a proper manner. Other ways, if a person cuts the line, there's a line that's waiting to be served, and it's a place where there are Jewish people, non-Jewish people. He's obviously recognized as a Jewish person, and he cuts the line. He does something that is unacceptable in terms of society. That would be also Chilul Hashem. And depends also on the level of the person. Some very important rabbis are very strict with themselves on many things that other people maybe are not, because they want to protect the image of Torah and the image that they should bring kavod to Hashem, kiddush Hashem, rather than Chilul Hashem. And this is an important thing to keep in mind. Every Jewish person, in a way, is like representing Hashem, as if he had a business card that says Hashem's agent. And as such, he has to represent in the proper manner, and to be very careful how a person acts in general and in public, that people should always say, whoa, look at these Jewish people, look at this religious person. He acts in this way that is so respectable and commendable. That's what we should strive for, rather than chas v'shalom, the opposite. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.